I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Across the Gridiron. I am Matt and I am once again joined by my friend and yours, Eddie Equo, as we give our picks and our predictions for the divisional playoff weekend. But before we go into that, Eddie, my friend, how are you this week?
Doing very, very well. Enjoying the little football that's left. Now you really value it because the games are shrinking, and you know that it's going to be gone. And we're back into the desert of no football. But yeah, I mean, I've been good. It's been a bit of a hectic week, this one. Work and family and everything. But always good to talk football with you.
Absolutely. And what a way to end the week. And again, just for a bit behind the curtain stuff, we are recording this at 9:30 on a Friday night in the UK. But, we are the one thing we are, Eddie, we are men. It's a Friday night. What more can we do? And I am sat here drinking my whiskey as we go through this. So, Eddie, please tell me, what are you currently drinking right now?
So I'm drinking off my Dallas Cowboy, mug, which I got from Jerry Jones back in the day, and I've got a nice brew of lemon and ginger.
Yes, absolutely. We are just two men being men on a Friday night, aren't we? Now, I would say, I mean, I wish I could say this was proper hardcore neat whiskey, but to be fair, it's honey whiskey, right? So even that's not the best, man. Yeah, but I've drank the whole bottle before I started a conversation with you. That's what you drive me to on Friday.
So we know what kind of recording this one's gonna be, right?
Absolutely. You might find me slurring my words. Yeah, I'll be slurring my words. You'll just be pepped up on lemon and ginger. But anyway, obviously, yeah, we're here to give our picks for the divisional weekend. But before we do that, obviously, when we did our recap last weekend, there was one game that we missed. We didn't get to do the Pittsburgh, there you go, Steelers, Texans. Thank you. So let's just start giving maybe just a little thoughts on the game. This turned out to be a bit of a blowout in the end. Houston advancing 30 points to 6. In probably the most interesting, I don't think we need to go through the game. I think a lot of people probably heard enough about the game, but I think probably the most interesting thing after it is the fallout, and that is Mike Tomlin, who has been the head coach of the Steelers probably since as long as you've actually followed football, Eddie, making a decision to step down, which is a huge thing. He's had a storied career with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which included 2 Super Bowl, going to the Super Bowl twice, I think, winning it once. He's been an absolute, he's certainly been a legend there as a coach, but it has sort of soured maybe the last couple of weeks, and he's taken the decision to step down. So, I mean, Eddie, first of all, what are some of your thoughts? If you have any thoughts on the game, it'd be great to hear them. But more general, what's your thoughts on the news about Mike Tomlin stepping down?
Yeah, I think we do need to give a lot of credit to Mike Tomlin because I think being in an organization for that long, 18 plus years, being in one team, taking them to the Super Bowl, which is what, every coach would want to dream of doing with a team that they're managing. Getting the support of the organization, and fair play to the organization for, sticking with him for that long. It's not lost on me that he's a Black coach as well, which is something that is not very, very rare. It's very rare in the NFL. And if it's even more, is the word like rarer? It's even very rare to have a successful Black coach in the NFL, because there've been a few that have come in. And hey, DeMeco Ryan over the Texans might be the next one, that proves box the train in terms of recently. A lot of the young coaches, are getting into jobs, and it's not looking very good. We saw Aaron Glenn, go from Detroit to the Jets, and how he struggled. Let's not forget the Patriots, also went through their patch, as well. And he was shown the door, very, very quickly because things weren't going well. So, you hear lots of players talk about Mike Tomlin and how they want to play for him. Ex-players who've not had the opportunity to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when you always say, who's the coach that you would have wanted to play for and things like that, everyone always used to talk about Tomlin. And I guess it's a reflection of the person, the character that people want to play for him. And I can make an analogy with another sports that we are very familiar with, football over here. Those things are a dying breed. You talk about Alex Ferguson in Manchester United, how long he was there and the success that he brought to Manchester United as well. And when they leave, it's always difficult for the next person who's following them, because you don't want to be the coach after the one, who has done so much. You want to be the one after the one who's come before, after that one. Same thing, Arsenal had Arsene Wenger for years, and you come into the next as the next coach. The standards are so high. If you look at Tomlin's record, he's never had a losing season, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I don't care, how you split that and you cut that. People might say, oh, well, he's gone to the postseason and not done anything. But, to not have a losing season, I mean, I think even Tom Brady has had a losing season. The Kansas City Chiefs have had a losing season. To not have a losing season at all, I think it deserves commendation. And look at the quarterbacks that he had to take, to get a winning season. You're talking about Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, some of these guys that, you're not even sure there are backups, in the league. Russell Wilson, when he wasn't that good, as well, still came out with a winning season. So, yeah, fair play to him. Got to give him tribute.
No, absolutely. Just a couple things on that. I mean, you mentioned that the players want to play for him. The most obvious recent example is, of course, Aaron Rodgers. When he was asked, when he was asked, why did you decide to join Pittsburgh Steelers, he had a 2-word response, which was Mike Tomlin, right? So I mean, that the fallout with Tomlin leaving, or his decision to step down, it will be interesting to see what that does at the quarterback position. Because again, Aaron Rodgers is now even less likely to stay now that Tomlin is no longer there. You make a really interesting point about Tomlin, the fact of being one of the most successful black coaches, certainly in recent years. But he was obviously very successful in his own right, regardless of the fact that he is a black man. And it will be interesting to see what they do next. There's quite a few people that have been mentioned in taking this position, and we're not going to go. We'll probably do a deeper dive in the postseason about what coaching position is still available and who's more likely to end where. And the only one that might have found a position by then is Harbour, who might be taking over at Giants. It sounds, but we'll cover all that. But no, I think you're right to praise Tomlin. You can look at it two ways, can't you? I suppose do you look at his career itself, never had a losing record. He's got a Super Bowl ring. He's been an incredibly successful head coach. Or do you look at the most recent years? He's maintained a winning record, but he just hasn't been able to get it done in the playoffs. And there was a time when, I think it was week 13, the crowd had turned. I think they were getting blown out by somebody. I can't remember who they were being blown out by, but the crowd were chanting "Fire Tomlin." But the one thing I will say is, whoever takes this position is going to. You mentioned how it could be. You don't want to be the person after the successful person. The one organization that I don't really think that necessarily happens with is the Steelers, because what they've had like 4 head coaches in about 40 years or something stupid like that. They give their head coaches time. So you hope it wouldn't be a one and done, but it is going to be a tough act to follow. no matter who they choose. But yeah, I think that was probably the biggest fallout from that. And just briefly mentioning the Texans, they got the job done. Solid defensively again, as we thought they would be. They're the hottest team in terms of form at the moment. What's that? 11 wins.
Yeah, 11 wins on the trot.
11 wins on the trot. Defense looking good, and they're able to do that without really the offense looking sharp. I mean, CJ Stroud looked after the ball, but didn't do a huge amount with it. But we'll dive into all that when we go through our predictions. But shall we do what we always do when we're doing our predictions? Shall we look at how we got on last week, Eddie?
Do we have to?
I think we should. I mean, it's only fair, isn't it, that we do that. Right, let me. So I've actually lost the presentation bit of it. So just bear with me while I go through this glitch, if you will. Right.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So unlike normal weeks, we actually had 6 weeks. 6 games to go through. So let's see how we got done. The first one was LA Rams and the Panthers. We both guessed LA. This was the shoe-in, the lock-in for the week. Both got that one right. Packers and Bears. Now, you were surprised when you asked me, said, who am I going to go for? And I stepped away from the Packers because Packers were my dark horse for a lot of the season. Yeah. And I went with Chicago. You went with the Packers. All right, Eddie, that's one down there. Both went for the Bills over the Jaguars. They squeaked through. Yeah. Now, the Eagles and the 49ers, now I went with the Eagles purely just to annoy you, right? That's what I said to you when we shared that message. You said, who have you got? I said, I'm going to go for the Eagles in brackets just to annoy you because I would love to see your face if the Eagles won. You couldn't bet the Eagles. You went for 49ers, and fair enough. I'll give you that one. We're back level. Both went for the Patriots. And this last game, Eddie, I went for Houston because I saw it coming. You went for Pittsburgh. So once again, Eddie, it's another week that you've fallen short. I'm
going down swinging. That's all I can say. I am going down swinging.
You are going down swinging, but we didn't even get to talk about it last week on the video that we did. Again, in week 18, I managed to beat you 3-2. So your little 2-week winning run is over. We are back to a 12-point system. So 13-point lead, I should say. So 64 up, 51 for you. You're still over 50%. You're still over that 500, which is the main thing, Eddie. So give you sort of damning with fate praise a little bit. So as we can see, just me taking my rightful position just at the top of these little trend charts that we have here. Whoops. And that gap, it just keeps getting ever so wider. But, look, it's the playoffs. Crazy things can happen. But I will say that you now have to basically win every single prediction. And I have to get every single one wrong.
Picking my picks. That's what you need to do. Every time I pick something, you pick it as well.
Edward, when we did this last week, I gave you my picks first. Okay, I gave you my picks first, and then you could choose. So let's move on to the divisional round now. We've only got 4 games to pick, so we'll give a bit of a preview of them as we go. So let's go in gameplay order, and we're going to start with, for me, it's the one that I've currently in my little spreadsheet gone blank because I cannot choose between these two. But we'll start. So that's the Buffalo Bills, who travel to the first seed, the Denver Broncos. Now, I'm finding this incredibly tough to call. But I will let you kick off and give us your thoughts on this one. What do you think?
Listen. This is head over head, right, kind of scenario, because the romantic thing here is looking at what's happening in the AFC. Obviously, we talked about it. No Chiefs, no Lamar, no Burrow. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in that division right now, in that conference. And he really should be winning this game. He really should. I look at Denver Broncos, and their defense has been hellacious. They have been knocking people for six. All kinds of making it very difficult for quarterbacks to actually do stuff against them. Now they've been sat on the couch, sat on their bums, and the last couple of days, just watching everybody play. And I know we're kind of talking about this. How much of an impact, does that have? Because they lost their. I think they lost the game, and then they won a couple of games towards the end. I think they lost against Jacksonville Jaguars, which was a team that was humming as well. They shut down the LA Chargers. Literally, they shut them down. They had 3 points, which is really, really bad. So I cannot see the Buffalo Bills not scoring at least 20 in this game. I just cannot see that. Now, do I go right with the Bills? Sort of thinking to myself, let's go with that. But I'm gonna go with the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I picked Josh Allen, to win this game, but I just think that the last couple of games when the Bills have played, they've spotted the other team a few points and come from behind to try and win. And I don't know if they can do that again. That's the only thing for me. Like, and not like I trust the Denver Broncos offense, to go on a scoring spree. But even if the Denver Broncos able to score a touchdown or a field goal, the longer it gets into this game, the more I'm like, I don't know if the Bills can come back to it. So I'm going to go with the Broncos. My heart wants to go with the Bills, but I'm just thinking, Broncos.
Yeah. I said this is an incredibly tough one because I 100% agree with you. This is a head and a heart decision. Now, for me, the only reason why I would pick the Buffalo Bills for this is because of Josh Allen. You said he's one of the best quarterbacks in the AFC. For me, he's the best player in the NFL. Right, as an individual player, he is the biggest game change for me in the NFL. Right, hands down. He is the quarterback that would probably walk into any other team in the NFL, apart from maybe Kansas City, right? So everybody else would take him at quarterback. He's the best quarterback, I think. He's been the best quarterback this season. Well, no, sorry, he hasn't been the best quarterback this season. That's probably Stafford's or Mays. But as an individual player, a moment player, you would pick him. The problem is we both said last week that we still had the Bills as our Super Bowl contenders in the AFC.
Yeah.
So if I then pick Denver, that would be contradictory. But the head does say Denver, right? Because the Bills are just too banged up, right? You got Allen probably could have been taken off 3 or 4 times in that first half alone. And you mentioned that the Denver defense it's brutal. It's one like top 5 defense for both, I think, for rushing and for quarterback pressures this season. Just not sure that Allen has the weapons. You've got the Bills defense, certainly the rushing defense isn't particularly strong. So the Denver should have some more, some more luck there than they have for most of the season. And Bo Nix is a very capable, consistent quarterback, and the Broncos have won 13 out of their last 14 games. So you take all of that and you just think, the head says it will be, and it's also at Denver. The head is saying this is Denver's to lose. But saying that, given the fact that you have gone for Denver, I will say Buffalo, right? To want to keep it interesting. And because I have said that Buffalo are going to go to the Super Bowl, I think I'm going to stick with the Bills for now, just to keep this interesting as well. You know, you don't want me picking the same people that you've been picking. So I'm going to go for the Bills. But this really was a coin toss. And I really do hope the Bills go for it. I mean, even as a Dolphins fan, I think it'd be good to see Buffalo and Josh Allen get to that Super Bowl that he has richly deserved. So straight away, we're going in something different. So let's go to the game later on that evening. It's a divisional game. We have the 49ers at the NFC first, NFC number 1 seed, the Seattle Seahawks. Now, do you want me to give you my pick first, and I'll let you decide what you want to do, or do you want to pick it first? You're the one who's got to take these gambles, Eddie. I mean, or do you want to go first? You tell me what you like to do.
No, you go. Let me load up.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep it. I'll keep it quite simple. It's Seattle, right? I just think the 49ers are just too banged up. Losing Kittle was a massive blow for them, of course. And I think the 49ers have done well, but I just think that, well, depending on whether you really think Seattle are the best team in the NFC, that is still up for debate. What I don't think is up for debate is they come into this game in much better condition than the 49ers. And I just think that Seattle is going to have too much for San Francisco. So I'm going to go for Seattle. So that was my short riposte. Now it's up to you if you want to come back with something.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was when I was growing up, there was this old movie. It was called A Bridge Too Far. You know, a lot of you who are a little bit older, you might remember this movie. It was a war movie. And I don't know why that movie came to my head, but it was one of those. You know, I think it was also black and white as well. My dad used to love, sort of those old movies, old westerns, and war movies. A lot of them, Dirty Dozen. You might remember one of those. And I feel like the 49ers this is a bridge too far for them too. I've got to say. They were brilliant against the Eagles. They almost sort of like outthought, out-schemed, the Eagles, because the Eagles had better players. And what the Seattle Seahawks have shown, this season is that they're quite a resilient bunch. And you need to have a very good defense to really rattle, our boy Sam Darnold. And if that happens, then you've got a chance. I just the only thing though that has just got me thinking is actually the health of Sam Darnold. Because someone was saying something, I was reading it somewhere, and I was trying to see if I could find it, whether he's completely healed from it. But someone said he was dealing with an oblique injury, coming into this game. But just, I think that, it's the biggest game of his life. You're going to have to lock him up in a room, throw away the key, and he will still do a Shawshank to get to that field to play. So I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks as well, only just because I think even without Sam Darnold, I still think that they've got the team that can trouble the 49ers.
Yeah.
The 49ers are going to have to rely on CMC because it's all
that's all they've got, essentially. I mean, look, I think you're right to obviously to mention Darnold. He's going to be a big factor in this game, regardless, because you look, Seattle have, they've in the regular season, 3rd in scoring, 8th in total yards. But he also had one thing that's worth noting, that he had 28 turnovers in the season, and that's the second most in the NFL, right? And it's also 5 more than any other playoff team. So what they haven't done this season is protect the football. So yes, you can talk about Darnold. He's in his second best season as a professional, and I know you were giving him his flowers and basically doing everything, but asking him to marry you a couple of weeks ago. But there is a tendency to give the ball away. So I think that does give the 49ers a chance. But I think what's going to carry Seattle over the line, regardless of how well Sam Darnold plays, is the Seattle defense. They are a mean defense. If I can just pull up the stats that I've seen here, they ranked 3rd against the runs, 6th in terms of takeaways, and tied 7th for sacks, right? So you talk about defense winning championships. I think the Seattle defense is going to set the foundation, and I think Darnold will do enough to take them over the line. And this is, for Seattle fans, this is a big game for Seattle fans as well. This is the first playoff game they've had at home in front of their fans for 9 years. That's going to be a loud stadium. So I think everything is pointing in Seattle's direction for that. So both gone for Seattle. Let's move on to the next one. I think we're probably both going to agree on this one as well. We're going to look at the Houston Texans at the New England Patriots. Now, again, Eddie, I'm going to give you the option. Do you want me to go first and you decide if you want to go something different, or how would you like to do this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. Listen,
all right, you go
I know that the Texans have been, great in the in defense and all of that, but there's something that is just leaning towards Patriots. I don't know why. They have been playing a lot of mistake-free football, this season, and Drake May has been playing very well. You could argue he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think it would only be because of Matthew Stafford's tenure in the league that would stop him from winning the MVP. Because I think that he's done enough to take that award home, but it's probably going to go to Stafford. So I think that the defense is going to shut things down a little bit, but just like the other game where everything was close and Drake May threw the touchdown, just to win the game. Considering that the Texans, they get to this stage every time they get into the playoffs, and they are 0-6 in the divisional round. Even with what everybody was talking about CJ Stroud, including the year that he came out and was looking amazing, they still lost in the division round. Now, I'm not saying that is a good indicator that it would happen again, but CJ Stroud has not been playing very well. The defense have literally been carrying them. If this defense doesn't score from a turnover, pick six, and all of that, which the Patriots don't tend to do, because Drake May has been playing very well, then they might struggle to score. So I'm going to go with the Patriots just to get this over the line.
Yeah, so I had Patriots down as well, but I'm just going to see if I can talk myself round and pick Texans just to keep this interesting, because I think this is a game with two very, very strong defenses. And I'm going to ask you a question before I give you my idea.
Yeah,
Drake, you mentioned Drake May had a fantastic second season. He certainly hasn't suffered from that sophomore slump that many quarterbacks have. But has he played a defense better than this Houston team?
No, I think that's the answer. He hasn't, because this defense is no joke. This Texans defense is no joke. So he hasn't.
So, well, that's the thing, and this is a stick that a lot of people have been hitting the Patriots with, their schedule has easily been the most comfortable in the entire NFL this season, given where people played. If they end up losing this game, that is a legitimate stick, I think, to beat the Patriots with. That they haven't really challenged. They haven't won against a big, a big or a good footballing team this season. They can put that to bed if they beat the Texans, right? The Texans, on the other hand, I think they're 5-1 against other playoff teams. Again, 5-1 against all the other teams in the playoffs this season. So the Texans can get it done against other well-drilled, good footballing sides. And the Patriots haven't really been able to do that yet. So you look at this and you think that, okay, well, there is certainly opportunities there for the Patriots, for the Texans. And Drake May didn't have his best game last weekend, right? He wasn't. They weren't particularly great on the ball. Threw an interception, couple of fumbles, but then nor was CJ Stroud. So we're seeing here two teams whose defense carried them through the wildcard weekend, right? That Patriots defense was absolutely mean against the Chargers. Chargers could not get anything going, and then, as we saw, nor could Pittsburgh against the Steelers. Sorry, nor could the Steelers against the Texans either. So I don't think that Stroud or May can play as badly as they did in the wildcard weekend, right?
Yeah.
My concern is that it's just whether we think the Texans offense will be able to take enough pressure off the defense and keep the ball for longer. CJ Stroud hasn't had his best season, but he is protecting the football. He doesn't give it away that often. I think the game against the Steelers was a bit of a blip in that. So what am I saying? I'm trying to talk myself round to pick the Texans, and to keep this interesting, I will pick the Texans because I still think that defense can absolutely ruin a season for any of these teams in the playoffs. So I'm going to say they get it done and they cause a bit of a shock. So I want to keep this interesting, and I'm going to go for the Texans. Now, does that make you happy?
No, because you do make some very, very good points, which is kind of making me a bit twitchy now about my pick, of the Patriots, because Drake May has played against good defenses, but he hasn't faced one like this. And I think when he faces one like this, I think he struggles. So
this bit I'm going to clip up and put as a little snapshot because I'm going to post it. But if Patriots absolutely dominate a win, I'm going to take it immediately down. I don't care how many views. I don't care how many hits that video gets. I'm going to take it down. So let's move on to the last game then. The last game of the divisional weekend takes the Rams to the Chicago Bears, and this was a tough one to call. This could potentially be another quarterback shootout between a fantastic looking Caleb Williams, but an MVP candidate in Matthew Stafford. Eddie, what are your thoughts going into this one?
Yeah, I think this game is going to be based on a couple of things, in my view. One, you're looking at the Rams passing attack versus the Bears secondary. That would be, the secondary is not very good, but the front seven is good. So, can Matthew Stafford use his experience of being a veteran, quarterback to kind of, attack them, with Puka Nacua and Devonta Adams, right? So that's, those players are legit, and they're going to get theirs in this game. I think the other thing is the weather. It's a hot team going into a cold place. And I remember last year, it was a snowish game between the Rams and the Eagles. If you remember this game, that the Rams almost beat the Eagles. But again, Saquon Barkley just seemed to be able to run in the snow in that game. And so the Eagles won. And Chicago has had this thing where in the fourth quarter, they always seem to be like, putting on some kind of magic performance. And they've had like, I think if I'm correct, something like 6 or 7 comebacks in the last 2 minutes of football this season, which is ridiculous. Like you wait till the last 2 minutes to play, your best ball. So yeah, this is tough for me because I'm kind of going back and forth. And I remember last time I said I don't want to bet against the Bears because I keep betting against them and they keep winning. I don't know if this is a spoiler alert for what we're teasing in terms of our analysis of our picks going forward. But I did say that the Rams were going to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to stick with that. Everything else is telling me that the Bears would win this game.
You did also say that the Bills would go to Super Bowl, and you've already kicked them into the dirt as well. But yeah, look, I mean, as much as I love what Chicago have done this season, I've got to stick with the Rams for this one. Could I make an argument? Absolutely, I could. But if this gets into a straight quarterback shootout, Stafford's just got the consistency over Williams. He's got more weapons over Williams. And I think this has been a fantastic year for progression for the Bears, regardless of what happens this game, right? And if they go and get blown out on Sunday, that'll be a massive, massive disappointment, and it will take some getting over. But I think regardless of what happens, they can look back and think they've had a fantastic season. They've done incredibly well. It's been such a great year of progression. And this is something to build on, because I think if they can build on it, whether it's in the draft or in trades, I think when we're talking about the teams in sort of, when it comes to September, we're making our sort of predictions for the season. It wouldn't surprise me if people are looking at Chicago as a potential Super Bowl contender for next year. I just think, and you make a really good point about the environments in Chicago. You make a really good, you make a really good point there. I just think that this is Stafford's season to get back to a Super Bowl. And yeah, so I'm going for the Rams to win, to set up and yet another divisional game for the Seahawks in the NFC final.
Yeah, it's just incredible, that division, right?
It's absolutely crazy.
Incredible. What they've done this season is ridiculous, and the Bears just shooting out of the blue. I've got a Bears fan now, and he's completely ecstatic. I saw him last week, and he was just like, he's in the moon. He's like, yes, we're going to the Super Bowl, and and I couldn't help but just like, just imagine, what this season is doing for teams where they've just been seeing bad quarterback play, bad team performances, and it just looked like, I remember, Sean, when I was talking to him at the start of the season, I was like, well, Bears, it's, he's watching. He's like, I think I might go to the Super Bowl. If the Bears get to the Super Bowl, I might be going, because it might be the only time that we get there. This is how much people are looking at what the Bears have done this season. So,
well, it's not just the Bears, is it? I mean, there have been so many teams. If you look at the AFC, there's no Bengals, there's no Chiefs, there's no Ravens. You've got the Bills basically walking wounded. I mean, yes, I mean, you could say the Patriots wasn't that long ago that they were this all conquering team, but they had a losing record last season. You've got you've even got the Broncos who are number 1 seed. They squeaked in at number 7 last season. Then you've got the Jaguars, you've got the Panthers making the playoffs. You've got the Bears. You've got so many new teams, right? Which adds this layer of unpredictability. to the which. Well, I'm saying it as a level of unpredictability, just to basically to give you a bit of a leg up to basically say why you've done so poorly in predictions this season, because it is quite unpredictable. Unless you're someone like me, who can be 13 points up going into this point of the season. But no, I think it's great. And it'll be, and again, really fascinated to see how the divisional ramps up. Now, the one thing I think, if anyone is still watching us right now, I think one thing it's got to be really interesting to tease a little bit, because you kind of just brought some things up. What I have been doing, I have done a lot of data analyst. I've got in NASA to come in and do it. I've got the big wigs at all the big IT companies to comb through all of our predictions. And what I will be doing at the end of the season, I'm going to go through, present like a little bit of a story and look at each team. Which team have we picked the most? What's our success rate of picking each individual team? What division we pick the most? And basically, Eddie, I'm just trying to find whatever I can to see if there's any statistic that makes you better than me at predictions this season. I have got the top data scientists running this data, and all will be presented after the Super Bowl. I'm going to try and do my best, Eddie, to give you that leg up, because I know you're going to be depressed mid-February. I know it's going to be a hard time for you. Most people think that Blue Monday is the third Monday in January, right? That's a real thing, Blue Monday. But I know for you, Eddie, the real Blue Monday happens the Monday after the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl, yeah.
Well, I mean, I could have said it would be this Monday after Nigeria lost in the AFCON, but I mean we kind of knew that was coming anyway.
Yeah, we kind of knew that was coming. Yeah.
Anyway, so look, that's our picks for the divisional weekend. It'll be interesting to see how many Eddie actually gets right this week. But Eddie, as always, great breaking it down with you. And for everyone still watching at home, please take us home.
Yeah, and this is the divisional round. This is where, coaches, players, everyone makes a name for themselves. Even the referees, if you're, in charge of a game, at this time of the season, then you're among the very best in the league. So this is where, you start to separate the could have and the people who are really legit. And I think for the first time in a while, we're going to be crowning, some very, very unusual team, in the Super Bowl this season. And there are a few teams that are putting their hats in the ring for this. You got Broncos with May, and, Texans and Seattle. And oh my goodness, if Sam Darnold gets to the Super Bowl and wins it, it would be one of the craziest stories in NFL history. But hey, guys, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button because we always appreciate it when you do. And we do thank you for coming back and watching this. And then drop in your comments into the comment section as well. What do you think about our picks? Have we completely lost it? Do you agree or disagree?
A second. There's no we's completely lost it.
Have I completely lost it? Is this the week that I actually rise like the phoenix, from the ashes and soar? Okay, no. But it was a good thought for about 2 seconds.
Eddie, the best you can do is go from being 13 down to 11 down. That's the best that you could hope for this weekend.
And on that note, we'll see you across the gridiron.
I'm the bad guy. I'm the